So I thought it'd be pretty cool to break down how, I'm not going to speak for the whole team, but at least how I look at things when I consider what's going to be a good market to go after and what's not. Let me find the colors. Make this Kylin pink. So this is coming from a book, actually the book behind me there, AI in Marketing, Sales, and Service. Was poking through it earlier today, and they had an excellent breakdown that was way more articulate than anything I would attempt to do. So I wanted to show you kind of what it looks like. So you can imagine that there are 4 stages of a company's, let's just call it sophistication with data. So this is going to be everything from your non-algorithmic enterprise. This just means that they don't have automated systems. They're just not there yet. They're probably not collecting the data. They're definitely not organizing data if they are collecting it. And some companies will actually be both collecting and organizing data, but not deploying it to any type of decision-making or any kind of application use case. So if we look off-chain, a lot of companies, most companies are non-algorithmic enterprises. So it doesn't mean that they don't have data or they don't have a huge need or a huge value add from data. It's just that to sell data to a non-algorithmic business is kind of like selling ice to an Eskimo. Yeah, it's possible, but he's probably good. There's likely going to be lots of options available, or it's just not much of a demand. Alternatively, we go to the next stage, and this is where you get these semi-automated enterprises. So at this stage, they're working with some types of automations. They've probably got some dashboards, and they're likely going to be referencing specific KPIs or key performance indicators. These are just going to be quantifiable metrics that leadership and the team will usually focus on. So this is where you'll find your tech companies usually, where they've got a good number of automations in certain parts of the enterprise, typically specific divisions. And in this range, we got a lot higher of a TAM, or total addressable market available with which to be able to onboard. Now, so off-chain, you can find a few of these, but really, it's the automated enterprises that we like. See, an automated enterprise, their business model, their business culture is based around algorithms. It's based around systems and automation with a high and deep respect for data quality, for process. The type of company that is an automated culture, or it has a culture of automation, they're going to be where we have the lowest friction as well as the highest adoption or highest engagement when they're using an application like what we build at Kylin. And so by going for the types of businesses that are already in this automated state, it's just the lowest hanging fruit and most bang for our buck. So now if we go back and look at, well, why is it that we talk so much about like DeFi and talk about metaverse and NFTs? Because if we look at something like DeFi, that is completely automated. I mean, automated market maker or these decentralized lending protocols or whatever type of swaps are happening inside of the various DEXs. There's so many functions and processes that are completely algorithmically automated. So the amount of query volume, the number of times that that's going to be used in an hour, day, or month, or whatever timeline that we're looking at, is probably going to balloon that of a non-algorithmic company. So even though an insurance firm like State Farm might have a whole bunch of actuaries that are just poring over fields and building data science models for life expectancy and stuff like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that State Farm is stoked to both share and use data from a blockchain network. On the other hand, we head on over here to automated world. There are countless DEXs and applications that are that just hungering for more data, better data, faster data, which means that if we're able to collaborate as a community and figure out how to push the envelope of the level of sophistication we have in what we're building, it'll allow us to move even quicker. Now, this is how I look at the overall, I'll put my marketing hat for a moment, but call it my customer avatars. If I want to figure out what is my target market and is it quantifiably better than another target market? Because in marketing, we're going to spend money somewhere. So we really need to think it through. Well, if we're going to spend X amount, then where are we going to get the highest likelihood of a return? So the next part to it that's important to consider is not just the target market, but to figure out, well, how effectively are they using this stuff? And here we'll just call this, these are the 5 stages of data monetization. Now, I absolutely cannot take credit for this. There's a gentleman, his name is, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank. It's a good thing the internet exists. Oh, that's embarrassing. I can't remember his name. Okay, it'll come back to me. And worst case scenario, I'll do it later on. It's a book that I reference all the time. I let a friend borrow it, or else I just grab it. But anyways, back to the 5 stages of data monetization. First, you have what is just data monitoring. Basic. Can they access their data? Oh, I remember the name. Bill Schmarzo, that's what it is, by Mr. Bill Schmarzo. He calls himself the Dean of Big Data. You got a book, strongly suggest it. So you start off and you've got data monitoring. And that's super duper cool. Helps a whole lot to be able to find out what's going on in your business. How much money are you making? How much traffic is going to your website? What's the conversion rate of that traffic? And which of your social posts or what type of content on your social is getting the most engagement? Okay, what's getting the most engagement and getting the highest conversions? Because high engagement does not equal high conversions necessarily. So to be able to access this information enough to be able to answer these types of questions, that's a good sign that a company is in the data monitoring or business monitoring stage of data monetization. Where it gets interesting is when you start to draw insights from the data. So it's one thing to know that we have a 10% month over month growth on whichever social platform, let's just say Twitter. But it's more interesting to tell that we noticed that there's a huge growth in a specific demographic market. It looks like we had maybe made a whoopsies on some of our content, but people are actually loving it. Maybe we should do more of what appears to be working, less of what appears to be not working, and take the action of seeing what's different. So when we go from retrieving data to taking action on data, or being able to at least make better plans, which I would argue is an action, we've now upgraded to business insights. Data has become more valuable. What this means is that people will pay more for it. So this chart is important to be able to look at these things as back to supply and demand, of course, but also from the perspective of how much are firms willing to pay for this type of stuff? Because if a company is only able to, let's just say, make $1 worth of value off of a gigabyte of data, well, they're probably not going to be very stoked working with us. They're not going to do very much. On the other hand, if it's something where perhaps a company is able to make $5,000 on a gigabyte of data, well, they're probably going to be willing to pay a lot more for a service. So similarly to how the only time it really makes sense to be actively trading because of Ethereum gas fees is for people who are using large volumes of transactions or large amounts in their transactions. For somebody like myself using Uniswap, to do a $200 trade doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Now, someone doing a $20,000 trade, the $1,500 of gas fees don't really matter. So as a Oracle developer, as I don't know what to call it, a data engineer, as somebody looking to make money on data, you want to be thinking not just about the 4 stages or the 4 types of enterprises in terms of where are they at in their journey and their culture of using data, but even if they use data, how profitable is that data for them? So whenever someone's grabbing insights and taking actions from their data, yeah, we're at a higher level. Next would be when you're talking about optimization. So this is where a person is not just gathering data for the sake of gathering data. They make it look pretty inside of their warehouse, inside of their database. And they've been taking actions from their data, and it's likely been working. And at some point of following the data and making decisions from it in advertising, what that traditionally looks like is we would test out maybe 5 to 10 ads all at once, let them run for a couple days, take the best 3 winners, kill off the 7 losers, make another 7 ads that look like those 3, and then run it again. What we just did is we optimized our system. We used the data to take a look at what has the best engagement, best conversions, and its highest profitability. We then took an action. So we used the insight to turn into action. And now we're making a system for better actions. That's optimization. So this is where you can think of it more like that data is used in systems, necessitated, required in order for the company to run, for the company to make this specific type of decision. If they had an SOP written up, a standard operating procedure, then it would likely have take action based upon whatever data insights you can gather. That's a business that is at the business optimization or data optimization stage. Now, next, the name's a bit confusion because like the whole thing's about data monetization, but the thing is, once you've got the optimization system down, that's probably only for one specific function. In the example I gave for deciding the best ad on that channel. But what about the best copywriting? What about the best image? What about the best headline? Who's the project manager that's overseeing the team that's designing this? And how effectively and how quickly are they cranking out content versus the other project managers on the team? See, once you start connecting different dots together and creating it to where it's not just a system that's being optimized using data, but now you've got an entire division or arguably the entire company that is using data optimized systems, meaning that somebody is looking at the data, analyzing it, and figuring out what systems need to be changed to make things better. And this leads us to the final stage, which I just realized I left off the 4th stage in the last one, because it's more of a vision, it's more of a direction you want to go. And that's going to be, let's just call it data native culture. At this stage, they call it business metamorphosis. That part kind of confuses me because the whole process is a metamorphosis. So I'm going to call it a data native culture, though. Essentially, at this 5th stage, that's where the entire company has a respect and appreciation for data. When anyone from the front line to the executive room or Zoom room, everybody is thinking about data. They're looking at not just the insights and what actions can they take from those insights, but they're constantly thinking about how can the optimized systems be better optimized and to operate with each other? How can we decouple parts that are inefficient stuck together? What parts are unnecessary that can be removed? And where should we be making upgrades? When a company is at the data native level, this is the stage whenever you find the most rapid growth. So what's interesting about these 2 charts, and the reason why I break both of these down, is because in blockchain, and especially when we talk about DeFi, NFT, metaverse, and some of the more active buzzwords of the time, is because we're talking about companies that are in the data monetization and even data native culture almost across the board. Sure, there's some that are still in business insights and business optimization, and arguably most from a system standpoint and an operations standpoint are probably barely in the data monitoring stage. If they don't have a dashboard that shows how things are working, data monitoring. If they don't have an SOP that shows how to use that dashboard, business insights is stage 2. The point is, when we're looking at off-chain data solutions, they're usually going to revolve around this lower range. And I probably should have kept the other drawing up, but whoopsies. They're also usually going to be at that stage where they're not even setting up algorithmic systems. They probably don't have automations. And if they do, it's likely few and far between, kind of like duct tape and fish and wire thrown together. With blockchain, we want to look for the applications that they need systems to make decisions fast. these decisions might need information from something strange. Maybe it's not as simple as a Bitcoin USDT pair. Maybe it's something more complicated, like what's market sentiment right now? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? There's a whole bunch of applications and integrations that will show the fear and greed index. I mean, even CoinGecko has their own version of it. So imagine being able to apply something like that dedicated towards a specific token, a specific community, a specific brand. That's just one version. So the idea is to think about, well, what data might be out there? The thing that I've been super interested in lately is to figure out how to be able to apply this for metaverse. Because one of those barrier to entries that us as a data community can help solve is making it easier for people to tell what all is available within a metaverse. What is the benefits of one item versus another item? Like if you have a Axie Infinity, what is, I don't know Axie Infinity well, but I know there's different creatures that have different characteristics, and the properties can be better or worse depending on the level it's at. And all of these details that can get confusing for most, well, a lot of that's on chain. So to be able to extract the data on chain, analyze it, provide some type of insight, and then bundle that in a way, or even if it's not bundled, talk to someone who can bundle it, aka a metaverse project. Because now every single time they query whatever it is that team or that individual put together, they're getting paid the query fees on that in the Kylin token or Pichu if it's going to be on the Pichu network. So wanted to break all this down because we do get questions quite a bit about why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And there's so many ways to make money with data. And there absolutely totally is. It's just something where it's difficult to describe things like this just over Telegram. And I figured this will be another opportunity for us to capture more information. So I'm going to take a moment and dive through the chat, see if any of the last minute questions popped up, and we'll call this a wrap after that. All right, fantastic. Well, hey, everybody, it looks like we are good to go. We've got a lot more information coming out over the next couple of days and weeks, and we're getting everything ramped up as we're finishing out the year and entering the holiday season by making sure we have the best action plan and strategy to make sure that we can go not from 0 to 1 like we did this last year, but to take things from 1 to 100. If you have any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, emotional outbreaks, please feel free to connect with us directly. We're here to answer questions that you're looking for. Our official Telegram is active most hours of the day and night. And if you're looking to participate, if you want to connect with us directly and share whatever it is that might be on your mind of what you think can be done differently as a community, hop into our militia. We talk strategy there all day and night. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, y'all. Bye for now.